This is True Voice Unfiltered, the podcast where raw truth meets real transformation. I'm your host, Daria Anne, ghostwriter, content strategist, and holistic health warrior. No, I'm not a doctor, nurse, nutritionist, or any kind of medical professional, and this show does not dispense medical advice. I'm just an informed patient sharing what I've learned on my own healing journey. I also interview accomplished authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, and functional medicine practitioners who are transforming lives. If you're ready to break free from the sick care system, reclaim your health, and transform your life, you're in the right place. Let's get unfiltered. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of True Voice Unfiltered. I am excited about today's episode because I get to welcome an old friend, Jody Layne. Jody is the co-founder and CEO of Accelerated Medical Practices. Jody isn't just a CEO, she's a strategist, cheerleader, and straight talker who knows exactly how to take a clinic from just getting by to predictably profitable. With decades of business and marketing experience, as well as having performed every role inside a hormone clinic, including the front desk when needed, she brings both the strategy and the heart needed to help clinic owners create the business and lifestyle they want without burning out. As the heart and driving force behind AMP, Jody has spent decades mastering business strategy and marketing and spent 8 years hands-on growing a successful hormone clinic, during which time she's gotten to perform almost every role inside a clinic while streamlining the operational processes and patient experience at every stage. Her approach starts with your vision, the life and lifestyle you want as a clinic owner or provider. Not every owner dreams of having a multi-million-dollar empire, and she gets that. Some want autonomy, some want to teach, some simply want more free time and less stress. Jody helps them craft the plan, build the team, and set the patient numbers to get there, step by step. What makes her different? Her clients will tell you it's the perfect mix of transparency, drive, and genuine care. When Jody says she'll deliver, she does so with consistent updates and a big dose of encouragement along the way. She has a knack for breaking down big, overwhelming problems into simple, actionable steps, all while inspiring owners to picture the results they want to achieve and make them real. When she's not transforming clinics, you'll find Jody in the gym at 5:30 a.m. or out on a long walk, soaking in podcasts on the latest business trends. And Jody says, your business should support the life you want, not the other way around. And wow, I can certainly buy into that. And I'm so grateful because Jody and I have known each other for several years now. I used to write for her in a past life. And I'm so excited to interview her today because, as you all know, if you've read my book, My Escape from the Sick Care System, A Guide to Overcoming PCOS, Hashimoto's, and Autoimmune Conditions with Functional Medicine, I am all about hormone clinics, functional medicine, and helping these practitioners thrive because I am a living testament to the power of functional medicine and bioidentical hormones, which I actually discovered in the year 2002. So without further ado, let's go talk to Jody Layne, co-founder and CEO of Accelerated Medical Practices. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of True Voice Unfiltered. I am thrilled today to have an old friend of mine here joining us. Young, but old friend. Been friends for a long time.
Exactly.
You know what I meant. It's been probably like 10 years, hasn't it, Jody?
It
Or
has
close
been.
to it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I used to write for Jody in a past life when she had a digital marketing agency, and it was awesome. And she's here today to talk about her business, Accelerated Medical Practices, and all things functional medicine and hormone, which everyone knows I love myself. I'm sort of a living testament to the efficacy of bioidentical hormones and functional medicine, hence my best-selling book. So when I asked Jody what her true voice story was before we got on the air, she said, once I saw what hormone optimization can do for people, I was hooked. I'm not a provider, but if I can help providers have successful businesses, then I feel that I am part of the process of helping people have transformed lives that thrive with health and vitality. Man, I love that, Jody.
It's very true. It's very, very true.
So tell us a little bit about your background before we get into talking about what you're doing now and Accelerated Medical Practices.
Sure. Well, I can give you my background and it'll sort of morph into that True Voice story. So, I've been a digital marketer my entire career. I started in the early 90s. Actually, I started in direct mail in the early 90s, mostly in politics. And then slowly but surely started recognizing that digital marketing was definitely where the direction was going. So we started doing email marketing, personalized URLs, digital variable printing. So my entire career has just basically been in marketing. And I've owned a couple of different marketing agencies. I've worked in a couple of different marketing agencies, but it was the marketing agency that I owned when I met you that really changed my life because couple things. One is marketing has gotten just very, very overwhelming. So for a 55-year-old woman like myself, I don't have the time or the desire to really become an expert in every single thing that you could go out there and do. And then secondly, businesses have to spend a lot more money to get a result. And it's very difficult. A small business has always been my niche. And it's hard to get a small business to spend $8,000 a month in order to get any kind of result. They won't do it. Therefore, they weren't getting results. I was getting very frustrated with the whole industry, picked up this client who was a hormone doctor. And the first person's life that was transformed that really moved the needle for me was my own husband. So,
Wow.
I'm going to tell a little bit about him. Hopefully he doesn't listen. So he dealt with clinical depression the majority of his life. And I don't have any of those sort of issues. So it was hard for me. And when I saw him go through it, it was just, I felt helpless. I felt like, I just wanted him to get up, get moving. Let's go take a walk around the block and that would fix everything. But that's not how depression works. And I really was starting to understand that. I picked up this client who was a hormone doctor. Obviously, as a marketer, began to do my research, started learning about the whole industry and the medicine and the way that the body operates. And I said to my husband, this sounds like you. Like, let's just
Oh
go,
my gosh.
let's just go have you do your blood
Mhm.
work. If nothing else, it'd be a good thing for me to watch a patient and go through the process as I'm writing all this content for this provider. And lo and behold, at 34, 35 years old, he had the testosterone of a 70-plus-year-old man.
Oh my gosh.
All these years of
Amazing.
therapy and antidepressants and all these things doctors wanted to throw at him, and it was literally his own body just not producing enough testosterone. And within weeks, I saw a brand new individual. And I saw that story replay over and over. I saw it with you and so many
Yes.
other of my family members and friends and patients. And I just knew that this had to be what I need to do in my life.
That is amazing. And I can attest, yeah, to the power of hormones. And it's really sad. I listened to a podcast recently. I can't even remember because I listened to so many, but they were talking about testosterone being a real problem in men, specifically low testosterone. So he was not alone in that problem, unfortunately. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about talking about functional medicine and bioidentical hormones. It's funny, I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was saying she had brain fog and she was feeling depressed. And I said, please go get your hormones checked. And I emailed her the whole list of the full thyroid panel because you and I both know that conventional doctors, even endocrinologists, especially endocrinologists, I should say, are not going to order the right tests. And it's really amazing we don't give hormones enough credit for what they do for our bodies and how
Oh my
important
gosh,
they are.
not at all. And even when the provider orders the right tests, they're not looking at it in the right way. It's not hormone replacement, it's hormone optimization. So if I am 50 years old and my labs come back with the testosterone level and the estrogen level and progesterone and thyroid levels of a 50-year-old woman, then of course I'm going to be symptomatic because at 50, your body has already begun declining in the way that it produces hormones. I want my body to look like a 25-year-old hormones. And that is what the optimization part is. So unfortunately, it's multiple steps. It's one, having the doctor just do the testing. Two, having them understand how to read the results, and all labs show different values. So you have to know all of that. Then third, it's not just like pouring water, in a pot and it just boils over. Every body has different receptors and different ways in which that they use the hormones. And so it's not just a plug in, everyone's the same. It really does take some personalization.
And that's what I love about it. Bioindividuality. That was a term I discovered along the
Yes, I love
journey.
that term. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, it's really true. I mean, we may all be made of the same things, but we react differently to things. And I guess genetics play a little bit of a role too. And it's just that's what I love about functional medicine and hormones. It's personalized medicine.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
So as I witnessed this, I had this agency and I worked for this doctor for 2 years as his marketer, and I just fell more and more in love with what the industry was doing. It sort of opened my eyes. My mom had passed away not too many years prior to that of cancer, and she was a product of the WHI study. I remember the day she walked through the door and she said, "I can't take my hormones any longer." And her life just changed. And so between all of those things sort of like mixing around in my brain, plus being frustrated with marketing in general, I was like, you know what? I think I want to go work for a company. And so when this doctor told me what he wanted to do, how he wanted to grow this practice, I was like, sign me up. Like, I am going to come and do this for you. And it was the greatest decision I ever made in my life, completely changed the trajectory of my career, not just in hormones, and I also recognized how much I really loved business development. Like, I truly like talking to entrepreneurs, especially ones that don't really know how to get what they want, figuring out what their goals are, and then creating a strategy plan for them to go get it. And so you mixed all those things together. It was just the perfect storm to this next career
Oh my
change.
gosh, I can really tell it fills your soul. You
It
are,
does.
and I think and having that personal experience just really helps you probably do your job better. Just so motivating. You want that same result for other people. And I'm really sorry to hear about your mom. I mean, that study, just for anybody that doesn't know, Jody was referring to the 2002 Women's Health Initiative. Very flawed. They used synthetic hormones, and ironically, that was the year that I discovered bioidentical progesterone. And so I'm glad I had discovered that before I ever heard
Yeah.
about that study. But it did so much harm to so many women. Very
Yeah,
sad.
it did a lot of harm. It also, it really shined a light on the fact that in order for a study to be valid, you need to be able to read it. You cannot just go off of the executive summary title or whatever the major title is and just read like the quick paragraph. You've got to read this study, especially when there's a study that's going to change people's lives so drastically. Because if you read this, I'm not a medical person in any way, shape, or form, but as I read the study, the flaws just jump off the page. And they recognized it a couple of years later. I don't remember exactly what, I think it was 2007. Don't quote me on that, but they recognized it and they printed a retraction. But it was like a tiny little blurb buried into a medical journal versus all the attention that the original study got. So here we are now, 2025. Both black box warnings have been removed. It's all starting to come out into the open. We were wrong. We're sorry. Sorry for the last 30 years of everyone's life. But now let's get back on track.
Right. Unbelievable. But
But then
uh,
again, that brings on new problems, more opportunity, more providers seeing what wellness medicine can do for them, therefore going into business with absolutely, in most cases, no idea what they're doing. And they're just kind of trying to figure it out as they go, which can be very frustrating for the provider now.
yeah, I'm sure. And I know that direct primary care is now a big thing. Like a lot of doctors, whether they're in hormones or not, and I love that, by the way. And I'm not going to get on my rant about health insurance on this podcast or allopathic medicine, but I can see where it might be difficult, and they would need someone like you when they transition into a system like that, where it's direct pay between them and the patient. So I think you might have answered this already, Jody, but why should a hormone clinic choose you over, say, another consultant that's out there?
Because I've done it. So
Yeah.
every single thing the provider, the clinic owner provider is going through, I have gone through. Now, again, as I mentioned, I'm not a provider, so I've never treated a patient, although I've been in enough patient appointments to have a very good idea of what happens in those appointments. But I've been everything. I've been the front desk. I've been the medical assistant. I have done inventory. I've done every aspect of what is involved in a clinic. And that is a big difference between a regular business consultant that can just help a business figure out how to make money and a specialized, and we decided very early on when we started this company that we were not going to go outside of our wheelhouse. And that's a difficult decision to make because there are plenty of cash pay providers that need support. They need business planning, they need pricing support, they need goal planning, they need all the things we offer. But we decided to stay just in functional medicine and hormones because of the fact that A, we know what we're doing. We've been there and done that. And two, this industry is exploding. There are so, I mean, hormones, I would say within the next year, hormones are not going to be the only focus of a clinic. It's going to be a part of a wellness clinic because we're starting to recognize that once the hormones are optimized and dialed in, that's just the foundation of which everything else can grow from. And we're seeing that more and more with providers. So there'll be plenty of business for us.
That's awesome. Well, I'm happy to hear that because
Thanks.
my goal is really, I just want more people to understand that there is another way. You don't have to be stuck with the doctor who's telling you your labs are normal and you just should eat less and move more. And I've
Yep.
been through those things myself, and that's why I say that. And it frustrates me sometimes because I'm in a lot of thyroid groups because that was my thing too, the Hashimoto's, and I just get frustrated with people. It's like 3 years later, and they're still complaining about their doctor that won't give them the right test or won't increase their dosage. And I'm like, why don't you find somebody else? Like, why are you still doing this? Because I know how amazing it feels when you get all the hormones optimized, including the thyroid. In my case. Because of the Hashimoto's, and so I'm glad to hear that you think that it's going to be exploding because I really want more people to understand and recognize that there is another way and you are worth the investment in your health.
Absolutely. And I'll just say, I say a couple things about that. The first is I really feel for patients. I really do. I've seen this so many times where patient comes in, they are suffering. They've been suffering for months, years, decades. Finally, somebody listens to them and gives them a treatment plan. They start the treatment, and within a few months, they're back. They feel amazing. Then they go to their regular doctor that they've been seeing for 25 years, who says emphatically, this is going to kill you.
Oh my God.
Who
Yeah.
do you believe? Who do you believe? The person that you've been listening to for the last 25 years? And it's generational too. Like my parents' generation, they believe white coat equals knowledge. White coat does not equal knowledge. Those people were, some were good in school, some were not good in school, but they only know what they were taught. And so much about wellness medicine is not taught in medical school that you should be looking for somebody who wanted to go above and beyond. Matter of fact,
Yes.
I was just talking to my daughter earlier. Her girlfriend's in the hospital and they're looking for a primary care. And I said, you need to interview primary care doctors the way that you get interviewed for a job. You want to find somebody who thinks like you do, who researches like you do, who believes in their body the way that you do. And then no, they don't know all the answers. And it's a big, giant educated guess using science, of
Exactly.
course.
That is such great advice. I mean, I always thought it was such a stupid system, years ago when I worked for a corporation. Like you open your little benefits book and you look and see what doctor is on your plan, and that's how you choose your doctor. I mean, how ridiculous for something so as important as your health.
Absolutely,
Just
and yet we trust these doctors with our lives. Now let's flip that around, and let's talk about it from the provider's perspective, because this is where we come in. How many providers decide to join they graduate medical school, they join a hospital, they join a group, they join a practice, and all they know is, "I show up every day, patient walks into my treatment room, I take care of them, they leave, I write a note, I'm done." That's all they know, and then they go, "Oh, wait a minute, I wanna do something that these traditional doctors I'm working with don't do, so in order to do it, I need to go start my own clinic." And they don't understand that people aren't opening the benefits book looking for the doctor and just showing up. You have to do something to not just attract people to you, but when they get to you, if they're following my model and they're interviewing you, you need to show up. You need to be personable. You need to be invested. You need to build a relationship. There's just so much that goes along with now owning your own clinic when you're a cash pay provider that most don't give any thought to when they start because they weren't set up to succeed.
Yeah, exactly. So do you coach them actually in interacting with patients as well, Jody? 'Cause
So I do draw the line. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Any advice that we provide from the accelerated medical practices, medically speaking, is all based on our experience as patients. I would never ever tell a provider how to treat a patient medically. However, I would happily tell them how to carry on a conversation, how to write in the visit note, has 3 dogs and they're her life. Like there's things you want to remember and know about your patient so that you can build those relationships so that they trust you. So when they say, come down, 10 milligrams on your thyroid for a week, they go, okay, I'll do that just because you told them to. So there's a
yeah.
lot to that. But so we delve into that a little bit, but a lot of our support is on pricing, it's on contracts, it's on hiring and firing and having a great culture and things of that nature.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges your clients face?
I would say the number one challenge is around money. So it comes in the form of pricing, and then it's goal setting and then tracking. So all having to do with money. So imagine, think about yourself. So if you decided that you were going to just start ghostwriting, books for people, and what would you do? How would you figure out what the pricing would be? Most
I would
people just ask around. What do you charge? What do you charge? What do you charge? Unfortunately, when you run a service industry business where there are a ton of expenses that go along with what you provide as a retail service, you need to understand all of that. You need to know how much is your rent, your overhead, your payroll, your malpractice insurance, how much are your cost of goods sold, the things that you're buying in order to provide to your patient. All of that information's got to be captured and thought through when you come up with your pricing. And just, I would say 90% of all providers that I have met in the last 7 years, their pricing started by them calling another clinic and finding out what they were charging. And then it's goal setting. Goal setting is really, really important in anything in life that you want to succeed at. And business is no different. Having an idea of how much money you would like to make at the end of the year, how many patients that will take in all of your different service areas. We have a very specific way we walk people through that, and it's extremely helpful. And then once you have your pricing and your goals, then you need to be tracking. You need to know, if I said I was going to bring in 15 new patients every month for the first 3 months, did I actually do that? And if I did do that, what did I do well that had that happen? And if I didn't, what did I miss in order for that goal to be met? And so that, I think, if those three things are sort of like figured out, really you're on the right track to having a successful clinic. There's plenty of other things that go along, in creating a good business, but those three things, when they are on point, you'll at least be making money. May not be, might be unhappy, but at least you're making money.
Yeah, and I can imagine that they really need you because it must be hard whether they're making the transition from the traditional insurance system to going out on their own, or maybe they're coming out of school and just doing that already. Like, I don't think that they're trained, obviously, in the medical side of things, but not in the business side and thinking in those terms that you just described. So I can see how your services really, really benefit them. And I was listening to one of your podcasts. It's awesome. I recommend, highly recommend it.
Thank you. It's
But
actually called Beyond Hormones.
Beyond Hormones, I'm
Beyond
sorry.
Hormones. Yeah,
Beyond
the
Hormones,
business
the
of
business of
wellness.
wellness.
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely. Sorry. Did not,
No,
but
that's okay.
but at one of your last podcasts, it was interesting because you were talking about, like, let's say a practitioner doesn't have a huge budget, like, where should they start?
Hmm.
And you were talking about referrals. And in my previous life with at an agency, that's what we used to do with our clients too, is like really, while that person, especially in this situation, while they're all emotionally thrilled because now they're optimized and they feel great, get that referral, get that review while they're excited with the service that you provided. And so I thought
Absolutely.
that was interesting advice, thinking about, because I'm wondering, maybe I need to ask you this question, but probably a lot of them, for many of these clinics, that is an issue, right? That just having the budget for marketing and
Yes
for what
and
you do.
no. I think it's a couple things. For one thing, I'll say that there's a solution to any problem. So if you are a clinician and you're trying to grow a business and you have nothing to invest, there's always something you could be doing in order to bring in new patients. But you're either going to pay with dollars or time. One of the two. Nothing is free. Wishing and not acting is not a business plan. However, when it comes to marketing, I think that it's an unknown, and therefore people are scared of the unknown. So if I said to you, the average lifetime value of a hormone patient is 5 years. That's known, right? And the average annual fee for a hormone patient is, let's say, $2,000. So if it's $2,000 a year for 5 years, how much are you making off of this person in gross revenue? 10,000.
10,000?
Right.
Yeah,
So
whittles it down.
therefore, if I'm asking you to spend $3,000 a month in marketing and you get one new patient a month, did you do
Yes,
well? You did
I could.
well. And most people don't think of it that way. They just think, oh, I have to spend $3,000 a month. That's a lot of money. And so it's understanding the math, it's breaking it down like that, and then it's also being conscious of what's happening. So we hear this all the time. I hired a marketing agency and I spent $30,000 over the course of the year. I never got anything. Well, what were you saying to the marketing agency in the first 4 months when you were getting nothing? Did you give feedback? They know that? Did you check to make sure they were doing the work they said they were going to do? Did you switch things up? Did you change your message? Like, there's always something to do in marketing. It's not a guarantee that you spend the money, you'll be successful, but you will always make You'll always get results eventually. So those people that spend a ton of money and they just don't get any results, they probably took their eye off the ball. They figured, I'm paying this person, they've got it. Well, what would your patient do? You want your patient to do that? You want your patient to just show up, do what you tell them to do, but nothing, don't think critically for themselves and then just complain because they don't feel any better? Like, you got to be in it, as a team.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, and then as on the patient side, you brought up a good point too. If you're a patient in functional medicine or in a hormone clinic, you have to participate. It's very, very different from the allopathic model. It's not like, here, take this hormone and, forget it. Medicine is an art too, and so I'm glad you mentioned that because you do have to participate in your own health and make the lifestyle changes. One thing I'll just give as an example: I used to love aerobics. I was a cardio queen, and then when I got into functional medicine, now this is me, Hashimoto's. The first functional medicine practitioner said to me, "You got to stop the aerobics and start strength training. You can do Pilates, you can do yoga, and I want you to strength train. Like those are the three things you can do." Because I was doing Leslie Sandstone, I loved her. The high impact and low impact, and so that there's the bio individuality, but there's also the patient's part. Like in that case, I said, "Okay, I'm going to stop that and I'm going to start weight training," which I did. And so you as a patient, this is not outsourcing your health issues to the practitioner in functional
Exactly.
medicine. You are an active participant.
And so, and there's very few analogies I can't make between being a business owner and being a provider with a patient relationship. And so what you just described, you've got to be a part of the team for your own business, even in the things you don't enjoy doing: marketing, sales, human resources, accounting. If you let other people just deal with these things on your behalf, it's like walking into a surgical center and saying, "Go ahead, you know, cut me open, but I have never checked your credentials to see whether or not you're actually a licensed
Yes,
surgeon." Like you don't
crazy.
know, and you're the victim of what happens. And if you are somebody that just really hates this stuff, right? You just really don't like doing any of the business side, but you want to own the practice, by all means, get a partner or hire somebody like Dr. C hired me. He was able, once I started, to come in, be a doctor, and leave.
Yes.
There's a cost to that, of course. I mean, I wasn't the cheapest COO he could hire, but I brought the money in. So it's the same thing. If you are owning your own business and you don't want to do the things that are hard, that are uncomfortable, you just don't like, you've got to hire somebody that you trust and that is partnering with you so that you can make sure those things get done.
Yeah, absolutely. In my previous life at an agency, we used to tell our clients, a lot of them were law firms, like assign somebody in your office to be like your marketing assistant or hire somebody, let that person be the liaison so that we're dealing with that person. We're not taking you away from your cases, but that person can review and approve your blogs. They can look at the reports. We can meet with them. And that's another thing. I mean, I know the agency I worked for previously, I mean, they did very detailed reports for our clients. So they knew what we were doing. And I think we even had like a roadmap that told them like month 3, you're here. Then on month 6, you should be here. Because marketing really, it's not, it's ever evolving and it does take a while to get traction in digital
It
marketing.
does, and it was evolving a lot 10 years ago. It's evolving at a speed so fast now, it's
Yes.
really, really hard to keep up. And so long gone are the one-stop shop agencies of long ago. Like, I used to have and worked in agencies like that. "Come to us, we do it all." It's really, really difficult, especially if you're small, to have experts in all the different areas of digital marketing that you need experts in that can focus on all the changes and the algorithm updates and all the things that are going on behind the scenes. And the other sad thing is that you've got to spend more to make more.
Yes.
When I started with Dr. C, I think we had a $1,200 a month Facebook ad budget. That's pretty much all we did. And I could reliably bring in 30 new patients a month with that.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is not the way the world works any longer. Now it's synergistic marketing. So yes, you do need to have some dollars out there on Google or on Meta to bring in new eyeballs into your clinic, but you've also got to have the social media. You have to have a great website. You have to be AI found. You have to have all these little hands in all the different pockets. And if you don't, that's okay. Just know there are limitations. And what I unfortunately see a lot is, "Oh, I didn't spend enough," or "I didn't do enough. That what I did do didn't work." Marketing doesn't work.
Sure.
And that's like saying, well, I'm hormonally imbalanced. I only took my thyroid and I don't feel any better. Okay, well, maybe you should have taken the other hormones as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And I never realized too, I mean, I was 6.5 years with this digital marketing agency, how important websites are. And we used to talk about hyper optimized websites. And we had a pretty significant, like they had it covered, but we had huge departments for each different thing. And I realized like I was doing content and that was just like such a small little piece of the pie. Very important. And our blogs started to generate leads, but without the optimized web pages, without the hyper optimized website, and we had a web developer who did all of that, those blogs wouldn't have gotten any traction. I mean, it's just
100%.
amazing how everything works together in digital marketing.
And now with AI, in
Ugh,
some ways it's better, and in some ways it's tremendously more difficult. The hard part is what we've been doing for the last 20 years is no longer going to work because AI is not going to pick up all of the content necessary with the traditional content marketing strategies we've been using. And so that's a really important thing to get ahead of as a hormone clinic because the space is definitely going to become more cluttered. And where it used to be, oh, I only have 2 other hormone clinicians in my town. Now it's going to be, well, I have 35 in my town, plus I'm competing with the 1,700 that are online. So
yeah, that's crazy. So tell us a little bit about accelerated medical practices, Jody, and what you offer. And I know you have a done with you and a done for you. So let's talk a little bit about some of the
yeah.
things you guys offer.
Absolutely. So everything we offer comes from the experience that I've had running a clinic and working with other clinics and like kind of figuring out what their pain points are. So the first thing I'll say is everything we do is based off of a methodology we call power. And power is there are 5 different pillars to a clinic's success and they should be done in order. And those 5 pillars are positioning, operations, workforce, patient experience, and revenue. Most people want to jump to the R and start marketing,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
But if
Yeah.
you don't have your messaging correct, your pricing correct, your positioning correct, if you don't have your operations dialed in so that patients get what they need when they come through the door, if your staff isn't well trained, if they're, don't have a great culture, if the experience for the patient isn't good, then all the money we spend selling and marketing and referring patients to us, very likely will not be put to good use. So that's like at the basis of everything we do comes from those pillars. So our DIY, so those clinics that are either starting out, they still have funds to hire a consultant. We have an e-learning system. Right now it's got a little over 20 courses in there, and it's us as consultants teaching the providers what they need to know so they can go implement on their own. It's very inexpensive. It's $100 a month for absolutely everything in there, or you can
Oh,
buy, yeah, it's
great.
very, very cheap. Because we want people to have the information. You have to do the work. So there's a lot more you have to invest. We give you all the knowledge, we give you all the worksheets and all the stuff, but you have to go do it. So that's the one thing. Our most popular service and the thing I enjoy doing the most is called our Predictable Profit Growth Workshop. It used to be called the Business Plan Workshop, but that's not very sexy, so we changed the
Right.
name. But that gives you an idea of what it is. It's a 4-hour workshop that we do one-on-one over Zoom, or we have a group version as well, where we do a lot of activities. We teach a little bit about business planning, what you need to be thinking about, what you need to be doing, and then we ask a ton of questions to get out of the practitioner. What do you want your clinic to look like when it's successful? And, what do you want it to look like next year and 3 years from now? And then we go to work creating their pricing, their income projections, their projected P&L, their overhead worksheet, all the stuff they hate. We build it all, as well as an action plan of what they should be doing day to day in order to make that clinic's goals become a reality. So we learn enough about the clinic through going through their EMR and all their softwares and talking to them that we feel like we have a good handle between our experience and what we've learned to then just feedback, here's what you need to do. And then after that, if they want us to help them implement it or be their accountability consultant or anything, hold their hand, we're happy to do that. But it's designed in a way that they could take it and they could just go do it.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And then our last thing that is actually not even out yet, so I can't give you a web page to go look at it, but if you're hearing this after December 14th, just go to acceleratedmedicalpractices.com and go under services. It's called Power Automation Engine. And basically what we've done is we've taken both marketing, sales, and business use on and created automations around all of these things. And when you sign up with us, we customize all of those automations and put it into a Keep CRM account for you that you are basically licensing the content from us. There are lead generation campaigns, sales campaigns, there's retention campaigns to keep your existing patients, kind of communicated with. And then we have partners with marketing agencies that all work in the functional and hormone wellness space that you can go to drive traffic to those campaigns so that you can gain new patients. And I'm very
Wow.
excited about that one
Amazing.
because there's a lot of great marketing agencies out. There's a lot of crappy ones, but there's a lot of great marketing agencies. But it takes something to work in an industry that you're not used to. You have to really learn the industry. Well, we're taking that part out of the equation. We know the industry, so we've built all these campaigns over the years. We're now making those available and creating new ones, for those people that buy the program. And so the marketer that themselves, all they need to know is how to do great SEO, how to do great ad management, how to do great social media, because the messaging for the campaigns have already been done for them.
Amazing. And I'm going to put all the links in the show description too, so people can easily find everything. But that
Thank
sounds
you.
pretty incredible, Jody. So that'll be
Thanks.
out after December 14th.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're going to the A4M conference. And if anyone's listening who is a functional medicine doctor, you probably know what A4M is. It's one of the largest organizations that service functional and hormone medicine. And their big Vegas conference is coming up on December 12th. And we're going to be exhibiting there and we're going to be launching it there.
Excellent. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That is very exciting. So I just want to ask from the perspective of a patient, what do you think a patient should look for when they are first going to a hormone clinic or a functional medicine practitioner? I'd love to get your perspective on that from the patient side.
Absolutely. So the very first thing is the staff. You want to make sure that the entire staff calls you by name, treats you well, answers your call, responds quickly. Like your interaction with the provider is about 30% of your time in the clinic. The other 70% is with the staff. If the staff is awful, then I wouldn't say don't go, but you want to know that going in, and you can always share that with the provider. The second most important thing is you want to know where they've been trained. What do they know? So there is no license, there's no certification required to do hormone medicine. You can just decide one day
Oh.
to do it. And that's not a good thing. I've heard some things from providers' mouths and I'm just like, "Ugh, really?
No.
Like starting someone on estrogen in perimenopause because her progesterone said it was making her anxious. Th- th- that's just wrong. Like there's just some things that are just not okay. So you just really want to know, did they get trained someplace? And then go look, is that place they got trained, does it look credible? Does it look like they taught, enough? WorldLink Medical is the training program that at Accelerated Medical Practices always encourages the providers to go to. It's, in my opinion, the best training program in the United States for hormone medicine. But just make sure they've gotten some training. And then the third, I think most important thing is, did they listen?
Mhm.
Does the provider listen? I mean, it's not just them talking. Granted, there is a lot to share about hormones that a patient needs to understand in order for them to be active and participate in their treatment. But it should be about you, especially on the first appointment. Lots of questions. If they ask you to fill out a bunch of paperwork, did they read it before they got there? If not, why'd they ask you to fill it out? Like
Yeah.
the provider needs to understand you. As you said, it's personalized medicine and therefore you've got to get personal.
Yep. Yeah, and the best providers in my experience spend time with you. I mean, I was amazed. The blood work came back and I was working with my practitioner and I mean, I spent an hour and she explained everything. And I love that because now I always say I'm not a medical professional either, and I always make that clear in my podcast, but I am a much more informed patient. And I understand when blood work comes back where things should be, even if it's green. But I know that the functional medicine has they put a higher demand on what these results should be,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so now I know that. And like, I can't believe, just as an example, fasting insulin, I can't believe conventional medicine thinks 18 is okay for your fasting insulin. Functional medicine wants it to be 8 or below. My last results came back, and I think it was at 3.9. So just interesting things like that, though. But yes, I totally agree with you. Like your provider should spend time explaining your blood work, and you as the patient should be interested in learning about this because it is your life. And so it's like, it's a partnership really. And
Right.
so the best practitioners understand that, and you're paying for it. So they make the time. Like,
I was going to say that they should show up with questions too. So, yes, I
Yes.
agree with everything you said. Time is not the indicator of a good provider, though. I have met providers that can talk for 90 minutes. To me, that's not a good appointment just because you can talk for 90 minutes. So, time is important, but the time used is what's important. Yes, they should explain everything. But you could be somebody that doesn't want to know. I'm actually one of those people. Don't explain everything to me. Just I need to trust you. And once I trust you, that I will do what you say without question. But I don't really wanna know probably as much as you do. You're much more a researcher than I am. But they should be asking questions because just talking doesn't get to the bottom of what is contributing to the person's issues that are above and beyond what can be seen in the
Yes. Oh, for sure.
and I don't care whether this patient's been in the provider's chair, it's the first time or it's the 90th time. There's always questions to ask, and there's always that need to be informed about what is going on in the person's life, which can resonate with what they're dealing with. Even if
Absolutely.
it's as simple as they, are in a huge, huge fight with their parents or something like that. Stress is a big contributor to medical issues. And so they need to know those things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best question they can ask a patient is, how do you feel? Regardless of the blood work, how do you feel? And also, yes, what is going on in your life? If they see something's off with the blood work, or if the person says they're not feeling well and the blood work doesn't seem to reflect that, then you have to dig deeper and figure out what's going on in your life. What's your lifestyle like? Are you getting enough sleep? I mean, that's another very important aspect. So,
I'm a big believer in symptom surveys. Matter of fact, if you go to our YouTube, I've got a video on it where I talk about symptom surveys and how they are the difference between a good clinic and a fantastic clinic. Because asking somebody, how are you doing? They're going to answer that question, how they're doing right now. Let's say I'm a pellet patient and I see my provider every 90 days. There's a lot of things I could have felt over the last 90 days that have nothing to do with how I feel today. And so that is where the real meat is what's going on in between appointments. So when you do symptom surveys and you ask the patient over the course of the last, since I've seen you last, give a rating 1 through 5 of each of these issues and how you generally felt throughout the last 90 days. Then if you track those symptom survey results at every appointment, you can see trends up and down. Those trends could just be age related. They could be you got a bad batch of something from the compound pharmacy.
right,
It
that
could
happens.
be, right?
Yeah.
You always show up in December and you lost a parent in December and it's the holidays and so you feel really stressed. Like there's trends that the provider can see that if they're not having the patient fill it out, they're not tracking it. And I don't mean just like scanning it and putting it into their chart because then you got to go dig for it. But like make a spreadsheet, put all the
Yeah.
values so you can see a line graph. I think that is probably one of the best ways a practitioner can understand what the patient's going through.
Oh my God, I love that. Now, this is a podcast episode you said?
No, it's just a video I made.
A video.
Yeah,
Okay.
we use symptom surveys in our clinic. We always promote using symptom surveys to other clinics. What I see though, most providers use them, but they just use them, they look at it and they throw it out, or they scan it and they put it in the chart, and that's not trackable. And so the information is gone as quickly as it was received. But just like you would want to track somebody's lab values over time if you're seeing how medication is progressing, the same thing with symptom surveys, because as you mentioned, like the labs don't tell the whole story. It's what you're dealing with that's telling the story.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I guess I'm a geek when it comes to this kind of stuff because I do keep a binder every year.
Oh,
I
I'm
have
sure
all of
you
my
do.
lab work and I can see patterns, and I will actually inform whoever I'm working with too. And and I'll say, listen, I see that this trend, like I do that for myself. I know I'm kind of but I
No,
think
that's fantastic. You have to do that.
yes,
That's great.
you really do. And so yeah, and I actually have an appointment coming up next week actually. And I love, and I do love now like these online labs. Like I personally use Ulta Labs. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just so great that you as a patient can now like log in and see your own results. My dad was a general and vascular surgeon, and he had private practice back then, which is like unheard of today, unfortunately. But we didn't have you didn't have access to your own labs, and none of his patients did, or I certainly didn't even. I don't know, up until I started getting into functional medicine. I don't even remember. It's probably been several years now, but I love that people have the ability now to see their blood work or order their own labs.
They do.
If
Do,
you're
but if you're paying thousands of dollars every year to a provider, you owe it to your patient to know more than they do. I think that is wonderful that you, and I know, and I have several friends that are really, really on top of their own medical care, but that is not the norm. The norm is I have too many portals. I don't know where to get all my information. I don't even know what dosages I'm on because it's all over the place. I don't know how to get into my portal, like all these excuses. So it is the clinician's responsibility as a cash pay provider to be above and beyond for their patient and know this information and not rely on the patient telling them. That's something that's a little bit of a frustration for me when I hear a provider say, well, they didn't tell me. Well, you didn't ask. It really is on the provider to ask and keep track. And
Well, and there is no excuse in a cash pay system like that because you're not dealing with insurance companies. You don't have the hassle of trying to get reimbursement or somebody on the
there's
phone
so
all
many
day long.
tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that I think my personal opinion about having a really great clinic is to make sure that your staff is informed. Treating your staff like I don't want to invest money in training them because they're just going to take that training and leave is a recipe for a disaster culture. But treating your staff like, okay, these are the people that interact with my patients, and I'm going to make sure that they understand the medicine as well as the patient should, if not a little bit more, is a really good investment. And if the person happens to leave, that's just life, right? Just deal with it. You know, set everything up as best you can, but it happens. We used to send our staff to hormone training. Then we started doing it internally. We had enough providers. We would just do it all internally and we'd have lunch and learns. Like there's lots of ways, very inexpensive ways that you can train your staff to know more than the patient so that they can be asking these questions as well.
It's excellent. Now, Jody, do you work with clinics all around the country? That was my next question. Okay, great.
Yeah. Except
So,
I don't have any clients at all right now in Florida, which is where
my
I
gosh, how ironic.
yeah, yeah, they're pretty much all over the country. Even one of my early clients is in Italy, and she was
Amazing.
doing WorldLink training virtually. She speaks excellent English, and there are no real hormone clinics in the entire country. And so she had to go outside to go get trained. I was a vendor. She heard me speak. She called me. I was like, I can't help you. I don't know anything about the Italian market. She's like, don't worry, just teach me everything you know and I will translate it into my own market. And I was like, okay. And that was about 5 years ago. And she was brand new. And all she wanted was to fill a 3-day a week schedule. And she now is full time, 5 days a week, just bought her own building. I mean, she's
Gosh,
blown
sounds
up because she
phenomenal.
really invested. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, this stuff can happen anywhere in the world.
What a great story. And obviously now that just story illustrates that you can just work with people virtually too. You don't necessarily have to be in person and have excellent results.
Yeah, I mean, Zoom is great. We got very few good things out of COVID, but Zoom was one of them. I mean,
Yes.
Zoom has been around a long time, but now it's like, it's simple to use as a phone. So it's definitely changed the landscape for most businesses.
Yeah. And Jenny, I can see how passionate you are about all of this. So why does being a consultant light you up so much?
I wish I had a distinct answer for that. Like, oh, it's XYZ. But the truth is that I just really get excited when I see the light bulb go off. Somebody who invests their time, their money, their energy into investing in a career that helps other people live a great life, that is so notable. It's so honorable. If I can do the same thing for them in an area that they think is impossible, like it's just pure joy. And then I get to hear all the stories. I hear about the marriages that are saved because they got, the wife on hormones and suddenly she found her husband attractive again, or people had
Sure.
good results in the gym, or just all these amazing things are happening all around us. And all I have to do is just, the thing that comes, sort of naturally to me, just kind of just be invested in people's businesses. And again, and because we've done it all, like we've made a lot of our own mistakes over the last 7 years in our own clinic, because I left a full-time job as a COO at a clinic back in January of this year, and have just been full-time with AMP just this year. But prior to that, it was day-to-day clinic work. And so to make all those mistakes, but then to save somebody else from making those mistakes too, like what a gift that is.
Well, I recommend anyone listening to this who has a hormone clinic to reach out to you
Thank
for
you.
sure. And so, Jody, where's the best place for them to find you? Share all the things, and I will put all the links in the show description.
Sure. Well, we have a very active Facebook page and Instagram page, both at acceleratedmedicalpractices.com. And then our website. Our website is actually, most businesses, their website's the last thing to be done, but we actually really intentionally focus on our website. So it's very informative. There's tons of video. You can sign up for a free discovery call. It's 30 minutes with me. And we could talk about whatever you want. Like, obviously, I'm going to talk to you about what we can do for you. But if it's just a call to ask a couple of questions, that's fine too. So you can just go book a discovery call from there or send us an email.
Sounds great. And listen to Jody's podcast and subscribe. Beyond
you.
Hormones, the Business of Wellness. I mean, it's fabulous. Listen, I listen to it regularly. I am not a practitioner, but again, I'm kind of a geek. I'm a geeky patient. I just love hearing it. And I love getting a better understanding of what you do and how you are helping these clinics, because then by extension, like you said, you're helping all these people save their marriages, build muscle, increase their longevity, not just longevity, but healthy longevity, and just to have a better quality of life.
I think a lot of the information that's on that podcast is applicable across other industries. We don't speak about it specifically in gyms or massage places, but it's all very applicable. It's just anybody who's an entrepreneur, I'm sure it's all story based too. I just, as a matter of fact, this Monday, I'm launching a new type of podcast. So it's the same inside Beyond Hormones, but once every other week, there's just going to be just me talking on a particular topic. And so hopefully those will be very educational.
So different topics that like clinics face, basically, are different
in the business realm. Yeah.
Business, yeah, that's what I meant.
So for example, the one that's coming out this Monday is about the 7-11-4 concept, that it takes 7 hours of consuming someone's content, 11 interactions in 4 different locations. And when somebody does all that with you, you become a friend or a member of the tribe versus an acquaintance.
Interesting. Wow.
And so to me, it's a great formula. Like, you don't have to think about, is my content working? No, don't worry about that. Just make sure that you produce enough content that a single person over time can consume 7 hours. They can have 11 different interactions. That could be go to your website, they call the office, they download a book, whatever. And then in 4 different places.
CTA.
Yeah.
CTA, call to action.
That's right.
My favorite marketing term. So, I want to thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful podcast. I'm so glad thank you for just making the time. Oh, no, I really appreciate it. And looking forward to getting this out there. Is there anything else you want to say before we sign off for today?
I don't think so. For anyone who doesn't know, Daria was on my podcast. It actually hasn't launched yet. We recorded it last week, but that's coming out. And I so thoroughly enjoyed your book. It was.
Oh, thank you.
I think all providers should read that. I really do. I think all providers should read that. Just thank you for fighting the good fight and keep talking about it. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I'm grateful that you're in my life. Oh, you know what? And that reminds me. Okay, so I'm taking a page from you, Jody. So
Yes.
I love Ben Azadi, who hosts Metabolic Freedom. And at the end of every episode, he asks his guest what they're most grateful for today. So what are you most grateful for today? And I know it could be a lot of things, but what are you most grateful for today? One thing.
I think I'm most grateful for how much this is going to sound silly, but I love to work out. Like, I recognize that so many people, it is a chore for them. And I work out 6 days a week without question and love every moment of it. And I'm so grateful that I feel that way, because I know how important it is. And I just think about what you were talking about, weightlifting. Like, I know how important it is, and it doesn't have to be a chore. And that kind of fits into my whole wellness mindset for myself. So I'm grateful for that.
Good. Well, thank you so much. And maybe we'll get to work out together one of these days. That would be fun.
It would be fun. I used to teach aerobics. Did you know that?
No.
When you were the cardio queen, I was the step girl, and I taught like 6 classes a week.
I admit I loved my aerobics in the 80s, like I talked about in my book, and beyond. I loved it, and I do kind of miss it. But now I've just had to modify things. But I love the strength training too. I love how strong you start to feel, and watching the muscles develop. And so I'm around the same age as you, Jody. So I'm just happy that I can still build muscle at this point. So.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
So hopefully our listeners will follow our example. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Jody. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of True Voice Unfiltered. And if you're a busy professional who wants to leverage the power of a book, blogs, or other content as evergreen brand assets that help you reach your ideal audience, attract more clients, and expand your brand and influence, I welcome you to schedule your free 30-minute discovery call with me. At True Voice Writing Services, I offer professional storytelling in your authentic voice. And in this age of AI, authenticity is more important than ever. I have ghostwritten over a dozen books, edited many, many more, have written SEO optimized blogs for the past 10 years, and I know how to project your voice, infuse your voice in all content, set you up as the authority and trusted guide in your field, and help you enjoy greater success with personalized content that speaks to your audience. So go ahead and contact me at truevoicewritingservices.com. You can click on this contact button. Reach out to me today. Tell me your story over a virtual cup of coffee. I just ask you to complete this little mini questionnaire, I'll call it. Just a few questions to help me understand a little bit more about you and your business and what your goals are with your content, whether it's books, blogs, press releases, lead magnets, email sequences. I offer a variety of writing services, and I certainly have experience ghostwriting full-length books that my clients use to leverage other things, such as an online course, mastermind groups, one-on-one coaching, workbooks, and other CTAs, which are calls to action. So I invite you to visit me at truevoicewritingservices.com, click on the contact page, reach out to me today. I help purpose-driven professionals transform ideas and expertise into compelling content that builds authority, nurtures trust, and inspires action. With decades of experience ghostwriting books and writing strategic content across multiple industries, I apply clarity, creativity, precision, and your unique brand to every project. Your book is your brand, and I look forward to helping you express yourself through the written word. Contact me at truevoicewritingservices.com, and let's schedule your complimentary 30-minute discovery call today. Thanks for listening.